but I think that's what it is. That's the love part of it. On being disciplined is building the life that you want through the habits and boundaries that you set for yourself. Hi everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Philivong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Now, I know for the past few episodes, we've mainly talked about mental health topics, but there's another thing that I really want to talk to you guys about, and that is personal development. This is something I've been so passionate about just because I've been so focused on intention. And like I've always said, getting 1% better every day, falling in love with the process of getting better every day. And I just want to, go on a journey of understanding that and what I need to do to achieve my goals. The topic that I really want to dive into today is self-discipline. When in the beginning of the year, when we have all our New Year's resolutions and our goals, we have a good start, right? Like we are pretty consistent, but then there's a point in the year where we just stop being consistent. And I feel like the reason for that is because of self-discipline. I think that's the thing that is preventing us from really achieving the goals that we want to achieve and building the life that we want. And I want to change that not only for myself, but for you guys as well. So let's unpack it. Now, the whole idea about self-discipline that I've learned is that in a way, it's actually self-love. That's actually a direct quote from Will Smith. He also said, "You cannot win the war against the world if you cannot win the war against your own mind." And I think that's so powerful because if we are not self-disciplined in whatever we want to achieve, whether that's, fitness goals, money goals, relationship goals, whatever that is, if we're not self-disciplined towards the path that we want to go towards, then yeah, it's kind of obvious that we're not going to build that life that we want or achieve the goals that we set out for ourselves. And when unpacking that a little bit more, when you think about it, if you are being self-disciplined, saying no to certain things and respecting your boundaries, you're giving yourself love because you are showing not only yourself, but the universe that this is something that you really want and that, whatever it's being thrown at you won't get in your way because you're focused, you're intentional, whatever goal it is that you want to achieve is what you want for your life. And I feel like it's, in life, there's so many temptations that are around you, right? With like scrolling in social media, foods that are not good for you. And I just feel like there's so much. And when we remain self-disciplined, it's showing the world and the universe that, hey, like, I want this. So throw whatever at me. I'm going to show you that this is something that I really want to achieve and make part of my life story. So the component of this that is probably biggest thing about self-discipline is saying no to certain things and setting boundaries for yourself. We set boundaries with other people in terms of, not to do this or to do that. And you kind of need to do that with yourself too. So for example, with like fitness goals, right? You gotta say no to that pizza before your cheat day. If you're, in a relationship that could be toxic or, having that on and off again feel, that is not the kind of ideal relationship that you want. You gotta say no to that ex or say no to texting that ex again so you don't get yourself back in that toxic relationship. In terms of, whether you're doing a side project or, you got homework you gotta do, but all your friends are telling you, come out, go out, you could do that on Sunday. But then yourself where if it's gonna be done on Sunday, it's gonna be done at like 10, 11 p.m. because of all the other stuff that you have to do. And saying no to that is so hard, especially from a social aspect. Like I like to think I'm a social bug and I would love to like keep going out and all that stuff. But sometimes I've had to say no because of either A, I'm just so tired, right? Energy capacity. Or I know that like, hey, I need to film something. I need to edit something. I want to get it out on this certain timeline and I have to say no. And I'm lucky enough where my friends are so understanding that, hey, like, you got to do what you got to do what's best for you. I'm here to support it. We'll figure out another time. If you have a friend that's not doing that for you, that's not a friend. I'm sorry, but that's not a friend that's supporting your goals and what you want to do in your life if they are constantly always taking you away from it. So keep that in mind. And honestly, this is something that I kind of framed on myself too with mental health is, say no to being hard on yourself. It's a big thing for us to, honestly, where we expect perfectionism out of us, right? We can be so hard on ourselves when we make mistakes or not do X, Y, and Z. It's really hard for us to really just be easy on ourselves because we expect so much out of who we are because we know we are that hard worker and really will push the limits. But from a mental health standpoint, really say no to, being hard on yourself. Give yourself that grace and compassion because, you need that. That's what's going to keep pushing you forward. If you're always being so hard on yourself, you're just going to lose so much energy because you're using that energy to just beat yourself down when you could be using that energy to, figure out what's the problem and keep moving forward. Now, in this world where social media is, a big part of our lives, right? We really have to lean into the delayed gratification versus the instant gratification. Now, we do this all the time, right? Now that you're scrolling and stuff like that, we get this kind of automatic reward where you scroll, a video will pop up that's very entertaining to you. So that's a, automatic reward. You scroll, there's a reward. Think of it like slot machines, right? When you pull down a lever, that takes a second, and then you hit the jackpot or whatever winnings, right? That's instant gratification versus when I think about like delayed gratification, it's like going back to saying no to things. It's like, oh, like I have to say no to eating junk food during the week and eating veggies or fruits because that is what's going to push me towards my goals. It's not going to feel good now, but in the end, in the long run, it's a huge reward. It's going to help me towards what I want to do. So kind of leaning into that delayed gratification. Also, another thing is sometimes I find myself doing this too, is that we're just scrolling on our phone for an hour or hours because we're constantly getting instant gratification, right? What we want or seeking is right there, on the next scroll. But then an hour has passed and you're like I could have been doing something else different. I'm not going to shame that kind of activity. It's what today's society is like, and sometimes honestly you just need those type of days where doing something like mindless and really just being in a space where you're just not thinking about working so hard, right? We need those days. I totally understand. But when it's on like many days, on many times in a row, that's when we have to say, okay, like what am I intentionally doing here? I think delayed gratification is just like super intention and involves that self-discipline piece. And at the end of the day, like we are in control of the things that we can control. All our decisions have good or bad outcomes. I'm not expecting you to be perfect. I'm the last person to ever tell you to really be perfect in this circumstance because you don't want to burn yourself out. You can't really expect every day for yourself to feel motivated and super intentional with your time. Some days, some days I'll be, like I said, be scrolling on my phone and be like, oh, like I really need to put my time towards something else, something that's on my to-do list or how to get better every day, really. And, that's okay to have some of those days, but all the time it's really not pushing you towards the goals that you want to achieve. That's, again, going back to that self-discipline part of it. Yeah, like I'm not saying to be perfect. I'm saying to give it your best, give it your all, and really push yourself to keep stacking on, that self-discipline to where it's habitual at that point. Also, another thing with like you being in control, the way I like to look at it is with different challenges coming every day, like I like to think of it as the universe like testing me, being like, hey, like I'm gonna throw you a temptation to see if you would get off the path of, going towards your goal. By me saying no to whatever that temptation is, it's me saying, hey, like this is something that I really want to do and I'm gonna push myself to get towards that goal. So kind of creating that boundary and that respect for yourself to say no. And again, just showing the universe like this is something that you really want. And also proves to yourself that you're capable of doing it and that you truly want this. So all in all, this whole idea of self-discipline is self-love is giving yourself that love and courage and confidence and motivation that, hey, like if I say no to these certain things, then I can get one step closer to my goal every single day. And then in those times, when we choose to not do things or not be self-disciplined, give yourself compassion, that, some days I'll feel like, and, not want to go to the gym, but tell myself to go because, that's what I'm working towards, even though it's like maybe, 10 to 20 minutes compared to like my 45-minute workout, I still got myself there. It's doing those hard things, right? And with self-discipline, it's working yourself towards your goals, building the life that you want. It's like giving yourself little nuggets of love, being like, hey, like you can do this. You have the ability and power and capability to really be in control and build a life that you want. You just have to get past those temptations and desires that are not pushing you in the way that you want to. Having that delayed gratification to really say no now to get the reward that you want later, and then putting those boundaries for yourself to build the life that you want. I think that I've been saying that a lot, but I think that's what it is. That's the love part of it on being disciplined, is building the life that you want through the habits and boundaries that you set for yourself. So yeah, guys, let's work on being more disciplined to give us that self-love to build that life that we want. If you really like this episode, please share, subscribe, rate this podcast 5 stars, really expand the community, make an impact on others as well. That's what we want to do. We want to continue growing here. So let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Love you guys.